Welcome, friends, and let me regale you with a heartwarming tale of a fractured family made whole again through unimaginable hardship and steadfast love. Enjoy the story. Emily Johnson, a bright-eyed 10-year-old with golden curls, skipped up the steps to her family's sprawling suburban home. Her after-school English class had been unexpectedly canceled, giving her a rare afternoon off. As she reached for the polished brass doorknob, the sound of raised voices from inside made her pause. "Mike, what do you mean sending her to a boarding school?" Emily's stepmother Jessica's usually melodic voice was shrill with disbelief. "She's just a child. We need to be patient and loving with her. It's tough, I know, but she's only 10 and still remembers her mom." Emily pressed her ear to the door, her heart pounding. Her dad wanted to send her away? "Jessica, you've tried so hard, but she's completely out of control." Mike Johnson sounded exhausted, defeated. "A year at boarding school might help discipline her and teach her to respect her elders since we can't seem to get through to her." The room began to spin as Emily struggled to process what she was hearing. She often felt lightheaded these days, but this was different. She leaned heavily against the door, straining to catch every word. "Mike, you're her father!" Jessica's voice rose an octave. "You raised her since she was a baby when you married her mom. Are you really prepared to just give up on your own daughter now? I can't believe you'd say that, even if she doesn't accept me yet." Emily's knees buckled. Mike wasn't her real father? He was going to ship her off to some strict boarding school? Black spots danced before her eyes as the shocking revelations took their toll. The last thing she remembered before the darkness claimed her was the hardwood floor rising up to meet her. "Emily, can you hear me?" Jessica's concerned face swam into focus as Emily blinked open her eyes. She was lying in her own bed, tucked under her favorite purple comforter. How did she get here? "Oh, thank goodness you're awake," Jessica breathed, smoothing Emily's hair back from her forehead. "You gave us quite a scare, collapsing in the hallway like that. We called an ambulance. Did something happen at school today?" Emily pressed her lips together and turned her face away, memories of the overheard conversation flooding back. Jessica wasn't her real mom. Mike wasn't her real dad. They wanted to send her away. Hot tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Jessica sighed, her shoulders slumping. "I know this is hard, sweetie, but you can talk to me, you know. I'm here for you no matter what." Emily squeezed her eyes shut, refusing to even look at her stepmother. She didn't need her. She didn't need anyone. As if sensing her thoughts, Jessica rose from the bed. "I'll let you rest, but I'll be right downstairs if you need anything, okay? Anything at all." Her voice wavered slightly on the last words. Emily listened to her footsteps retreating down the hall before the sobs she'd been holding back spilled out in great, gulping gasps. How had her life unraveled so completely? Months earlier. "Emily, can you come downstairs, please? Your dad and I have something we want to talk to you about." Jessica's cheery voice echoed up the stairwell. Emily rolled her eyes and bookmarked the page of her favorite fantasy novel before reluctantly trudging down the stairs. Whatever lecture was coming, she wanted to get it over with quickly. "Emily, I have some exciting news," Mike began, wrapping an arm around Jessica's waist. "Jessica is going to be moving in with us. Isn't that great?" Emily gaped at them, her stomach plummeting to her toes. Moving in? This woman was trying to replace her mom. "No, it's not great," she snapped, glaring daggers at Jessica's hopeful smile. "I don't want a new mom. I don't need a new mom. I had a mom and she's gone and no one can replace her, especially not you." With that, she spun on her heel and sprinted back up to her room, slamming the door behind her. Over the next few weeks, Emily did everything in her power to make Jessica feel unwelcome. She was rude and distant, avoiding her stepmother's attempts at conversation and disappearing into her room the moment meals were over. But no matter how cold Emily was, Jessica remained unfazed, smiling gently and telling Mike they just needed to be patient. "Emily, come see the dress I'm planning to wear to the office party this weekend," Jessica called up the stairs one evening. "I want your opinion." Intrigued despite herself, Emily wandered into the master bedroom where Jessica was holding up a stunning emerald green cocktail dress. Even Emily had to admit it was beautiful. "Well, what do you think?" Jessica asked, eyes sparkling. "Do you like it?" Emily shrugged noncommittally. It's okay, I guess. Jessica beamed as if Emily had given her the highest compliment. I'm so glad you approve. I can't wait to wear it. But the next day, when Jessica and Mike returned home from work, Jessica's delighted mood quickly turned to horror. Her beautiful dress lay in a crumpled heap on her bed, the delicate fabric slashed to ribbons. There was no question who was responsible. Emily Marie Johnson, get down here this instant! Mike's bellow shook the walls. Emily slunk into the room, a defiant tilt to her chin even as her palms grew clammy. How could you do this? What were you thinking? Mike gestured to the ruined dress, his face turning an alarming shade of purple. Emily started, but Mike cut her off. I don't want to hear it. Your behavior has been absolutely unacceptable and it ends now. You're grounded indefinitely. No TV, no phone, no… Mike, wait, Jessica interjected softly, placing a calming hand on his arm. Let's not be hasty. We need to understand why Emily did this before we dole out punishments. Mike sputtered incredulously, but Jessica pressed on. She's clearly acting out because she's grieving her mom and feeling replaced. We need to give her more time to adjust. Punishing her will only make things worse. Emily stared at her stepmother in shock. Why was she defending her? She'd done nothing to deserve it. Mike deflated, the anger draining from his face. You're right, Jess. I'm sorry. I just don't know what to do anymore. Jessica wrapped him in a hug. We'll figure it out together. She's worth it. Emily fled back to her room, her mind reeling. Jessica had stood up for her, even after everything. What did it mean? In the days following Emily's fainting spell, Jessica insisted on taking her to see a doctor, despite Emily's vehement protests. After an interminable wait in a sterile white exam room, the doctor returned with a grave expression. Emily, I'm afraid the tests show that you have acute lymphoblastic leukemia, he said gently. It's a type of blood cancer. We caught it early, but you'll need to start treatment right away, including a bone marrow transplant from a close genetic match, like a parent or sibling. The world seemed to tilt on its axis as Emily struggled to absorb the bombshell. She had cancer? She needed a transplant? Mike gripped Jessica's hand, his face ashen. I'll get tested right away, whatever she needs. The doctor shook his head sympathetically. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson, but you won't be a viable donor. Emily's biological father would be the best bet. But I am her father, Mike protested weakly. Not her biological father, the doctor clarified. You mentioned you adopted Emily as a baby when you married her mother? Mike nodded numbly, realization dawning. Emily couldn't breathe. Not only was Mike not her real dad, but now she might die because of it. The walls closed in around her. I'll do it. Jessica's quiet declaration cut through the haze of panic. Emily stared at her in disbelief. I know I'm not family, but I'd like to get tested, Jessica continued, her voice steady and sure. We have the same rare blood type, so there's a chance I could be a match. The doctor's eyebrows shot up. Well, it's certainly unconventional, but given the circumstances, it's worth a try. We'll run the tests right away. Emily couldn't tear her eyes away from Jessica's determined face. Why would she volunteer for something so risky? For a stepdaughter who had been nothing but cruel to her? It didn't make sense. The day of the transplant arrived, and Emily lay in her hospital bed, her small body seeming even more fragile engulfed in the sterile sheets. Jessica sat beside her, holding her hand, as the anesthesiologist prepped the IV. I'm scared, Emily whispered, hating the quaver in her voice. Jessica squeezed her hand, her eyes shining with unshed tears. I know, baby, but you are so brave and so strong. This transplant is going to work and you're going to beat this. I promise, and I'll be right here when you wake up. Emily searched her stepmother's face, looking for any hint of insincerity, but found only love and fierce determination. As the medicine began to pull her under, Emily's last thought was that maybe, just maybe, she had been wrong about Jessica all along. Hours later, Emily's eyelids fluttered open to the steady beep of a heart monitor. Jessica dozed in the chair beside her bed, her hand still clasped in Emily's. Mom, Emily croaked, her throat dry and scratchy. Jessica startled awake, her face breaking into a brilliant smile. Hi, sweetie. How are you feeling? Mom, Jessica! Emily tried again, testing the unfamiliar words on her tongue. They felt right somehow. Tears spilled down Jessica's cheeks as she leaned in to press a kiss to Emily's forehead. "Yes, baby. I'm here. I'll always be here." "I'm sorry," Emily rasped, her own tears threatening to fall. "I'm sorry for being so awful to you. You didn't deserve it. I promise I'll be good from now on." Jessica brushed the tears from Emily's cheeks with a gentle thumb. "Shh, it's okay. You have nothing to apologize for. I never held it against you for a second. I love you so much, Emily, no matter what." Emily turned her face into Jessica's palm, letting the comfort wash over her. For the first time in a long time, she felt safe, cherished, loved. Mike watched the tender scene from the doorway, his heart swelling with gratitude for his amazing wife. He didn't know what he had done to deserve her, but he thanked his lucky stars every day that she was his, that she was theirs. The year following Emily's transplant was a time of growth and change for the Johnson family. Emily recovered at home, Jessica taking a leave of absence from work to homeschool and care for her. The two grew closer than ever, bonding over schoolwork and silly movies and late-night girl talks. When the doctors finally declared Emily well enough to return to school, she surprised them all by throwing her arms around Jessica's waist. "Thank you, Mom," she whispered, "for everything. I love you." Jessica blinked back tears and held her daughter close. "I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything." 2 years after Emily's transplant, Mike and Jessica welcomed a new addition to their family, a baby girl they named Sophia. True to her word, Emily adored her new role as big sister, doting on the baby and eagerly helping Jessica with feedings and diaper changes. One afternoon, while at the park with baby Sophia, Emily overheard an older woman cluck sympathetically. "It's so good of you to help your stepmother, dear." Emily whirled around, her eyes flashing. "She's not my stepmother. She's my mom, my real mom. The best mom in the whole world." Jessica, who had been approaching with Sophia in her stroller, caught the tail end of the exchange. Her heart soared and a radiant smile stretched across her face. She had 2 beautiful daughters whom she loved more than life itself, and for the first time she knew without a doubt that they loved her just the same, unconditionally, forever.